r/AskReddit by Reddit tells. What was the most successful prank you've ever pulled? Very small scale compared to what a lot of people have shared and will post, but I printed out a few copies of a particularly silly picture of my girlfriend's dog. He's a tiny one, and the picture is him leaning on a pillow in such a way that it looks like he's hiding and just poking his head out. I hid one in her work bag, one in her yoga mat, one behind a bathroom towel taped to the wall, one in the box of a card game we play sometimes, and one taped to the pipes under the kitchen sink. She's found most of them and gets a kick out of it. My final act was bringing one to a bar she was performing at this past weekend. I explained to the bartender, hey, she's gonna have a drink after her show. Here's this picture of her dog, and he put in underneath the bill when we got our check. I told her that's the last one that I had. What she doesn't know is that I texted her parents, and they are gonna print the picture and mail it to her from halfway across the country. Can't wait for her to check the mail later this week. Edit. Some of y'all are asking me to update when she gets the one from her folks. I'm certainly happy to do that. I just don't know how. I guess PM me in a week or two if you remember. Also, she hasn't found the one in the card game. The game is Unstable Unicorns, so it has a fancy box with a magnet. She usually gets the cards out and has me shuffle, so I just left it on top of the cards, so it's the first thing you'd see if you open the box. Also, there's been some requests that I pay the dog tax. Yes, there's a few posts in my history of the pup, but here's a specific picture I've been printing. After seeing the movie Poltergeist, I thought it would be funny to put all the chairs up on the table stacked all weird and then open all the cabinets in the middle of the night. I thought it would be harmless and my parents would get a laugh out of it. Nope. They believed 1000% that it was a ghost we had in the house, and it didn't even matter that I told them the truth. They choose to believe it was a ghost. I'm not sure why, but I think they really wanted to be haunted or something. Cooking at school, different parts of the menu were prepared by different people. The girl tasked with the fruit salad was halving grapes when I passed her, so I commented that she wasn't peeling them. Were we supposed to do that? Of course. Didn't you listen? Ask the teacher. A long time later, I had already forgotten the matter, not expecting to be taken seriously. I heard our teacher yell, Anita, what are you doing? Poor girl was almost done peeling a pound of grapes. I bought $100 worth of Pepsi cans and hid them around my roommate's room. He moved out in August and he's still finding them. Mine's sort of similar. My college roommate ate cereal really slow, usually only when he was drunk, and would typically take a while to get through an entire box. Every time he ate a bowl, I would refill the box to try and always keep it halfway. This went on for months, and I probably poured 10 entire boxes into the one. Finally, one night, he came home drunk and went to get a bowl of cereal. I hear from my room, how much is new? I run out of my room, only to see him pour the entire contents onto the table and stare, completely dumbfounded, at the amount that was left over after eating from it the entire semester. He was speechlessly gesturing to the table, looking up at me in confusion. I played it off so damn cool. It's been like 6 years, and I still haven't told him it was me. One of his favorite college stories is about the magical box of cereal that contained an infinite amount until he broke it by dumping it out. Edit. Bowl. Bowl. Edit 2. Glad so many people like this one want to hear of my current, slightly more diabolical, long-term prank I've been working on. My brother is super impressionable. He's a super great guy, really smart, but really impressionable. For example, he'll start saying phrases and words that he'll pick up from me or my other brother, and he'll never drop them. So for the past few years, I've been coming up with ludicrous words that I'll say around my brother in hopes he'll pick it up, my end goal being that I want him to say an entire sentence that doesn't make any sense at all. So far I've got him saying words like hunk, to throw something, anymore, expect used at the end of the sentence instead of the word now. This one is confusing, but it's hilariously dumb. Booter, a snowboarding term for jumping that doesn't make any sense at all to say where we live. Jedi up, yeah. So he's already saying these, and I can't wait for the day he says enough to form a whole sentence. I will literally be putting the words in his mouth. And what's more, the whole family is in on this one. All 7 of us. I've been doing it for probably 3 years at this point. Alright, so some of these words definitely have meanings, but I know for sure he picked them up for me, and that's the important part. I really just want to write a sentence and code it in him without him knowing. I don't know if this counts as a prank, but my dad is a huge fan of the series Scrubs, and there's a gag where a character puts a pancake in the silverware drawer and this exchange happens. Why is there a pancake in the silverware drawer? You mean why is there silverware in the pancake drawer? So, just for laughs, I made pancakes and put one in our silverware drawer, waiting idly by in the kitchen for him to need a fork or something. I watch all giddy as he, confused, takes the pancake out and asks what's a pancake doing in the silverware drawer. Without missing a beat, I say, you mean what is silverware doing in the pancake drawer? I didn't think it would actually work. He got a real kick out of that. In the army the duties rotated. When it was my turn to clean the toilets, I had prepared some chocolate pudding. I scrubbed the toilet seats exceptionally clean, then left a thin, but clearly visible brown line of the pudding on one of the seats. During inspection the lieutenant saw it and yelled for the person responsible for the bathroom that day. I raised my hand and followed him into the stall with the dirty seat. "What's this?" he said. I dipped my finger in the pudding, smelled it, then slowly licked my finger as if I was tasting it, and said, "It's poo, but I don't know whose." This is where I usually stop when I tell this story. The lieutenant was a hilarious guy. After a few intense seconds he cracked up and started laughing, then simply told me to clean it in case his commanding officer would drop by. I had heard about this prank somewhere before, but I can't remember from where, but at least I did it myself. So I went to a Catholic high school. I had a work-study volunteer job in the office to help with tuition. Part of this job involved printing letters and stuffing envelopes to parents and alumni. Fast forward to spring break time senior year. I get my hands on some of the stationery and envelopes and type up a letter to parents informing them that after careful consideration, the school has decided to place the health of its students above the arcane regulations against the use of condoms. Thus the school was going to be providing protection at the junior and senior proms. I typed this up at home and hit a Kinkus, but only had enough for about half the senior class to get a letter. So I just mail merged every other student, stuffed the letters, and dropped them in the outgoing mail basket my next shift. Skip forward 3 days and shit hits the fan. Lots of kids are talking about this. The school is inundated with half super pissed conservative Catholic parents and half backpatters saying it's about time. The school sends out a letter to all parents telling them to disregard the previous communication, and that the letter was not an official communication. Skip forward another 3 days and even more parents start calling and writing asking what the school is talking about. They never got a letter. So, in a final letter, the school gets a copy of the original letter and includes it in a mailing to the entire student body with a second letter explaining that this wasn't official and that they will not be providing condoms at the dance. Y'all are the first people I've ever told. A buddy of mine from high school went by the nickname TD. One day, my brother asked me what TD stands for, so I look at him like he's an idiot and say Tyrone Draconus. Duh. This name came out of nowhere. I had no intentions before that moment of deceiving him, so I nonchalantly go back to whatever I was doing. Brother freaks out saying that's the best name ever and is so excited he can't wait to surprise TD with knowing his name at school tomorrow. Thing is, TD stands for Theodore David. I get to school about 30 minutes before my brother and start explaining to everyone the situation, and to go along with it, even TD is on board. So, from end of August until early mid-May, every time my brother sees TD in the halls he shouts Tyrone Draconus. At one point another classmate of mine tried to correct him, but she had a bad reputation with me, bullied me when we first moved there, so naturally he didn't believe her. Then came graduation day, when my mom spoiled it. Yes, my parents were in on it too. Brother didn't want to attend commencement, and as a bargaining tool she said, "Don't you want to hear TD's name announced?" Several times. After a couple hours of that, brother comes up to me and asks, "TD's name isn't really Tyrone Draconus, is it?" I proceed to blow his mind with this elaborate ruse that spawned from one spontaneous moment several months prior. Edit. Autocorrect ruined the first instance of the fake name. I set up a fake email address for the Narwhal Appreciation Society and sent a co-worker an email from the address saying we at the Narwhal Appreciation Society have been informed that you too have an affinity for this majestic creature and we wanted to see if you would like to join our society. He responded with thanks for the email. Not sure who referred me, but I don't have any interest at joining your society. Good luck. A couple of weeks later, I emailed him again and listed off the membership dues for the society and upcoming events. He responded with once again, please note that I'm not interested. Please take me off your distribution list. A few weeks later, I emailed him a note that his membership dues were in arrears, commenting that the faithful narwhal would most assuredly pay its bills if it used currency. I emailed him roughly 2-3x per year for 3 to 4 years. For the first year, when we still worked together, I'd see him open the email, shake his head, and say aloud, not these fucking guys again. But he never attempted to block the email address. He responded to some, becoming increasingly agitated, and ignored others. In one response, he attached pictures of dead narwhals that had been killed by newt hunters, and said, this is what I think of your stupid narwhal. I hate them. I wish them all dead. I eventually stopped and never mentioned to him that it was me, but years later, a few ex-coworkers were out for pints, and one guy said to me, whatever happened with that narwhal shit you were doing? And my pranked coworker's eyes bugged out of his head, that was you? In college, I lived in a dorm. We got along, but didn't know each other too well as it was only a couple weeks into the year. However, this was my second year in the dorm, and knew a few of them. One of these people, who we will call Fred, not his real name, really loved apple juice. Like, most of his mini fridge was nothing but single serving bottles of apple juice. The only thing that wasn't apple juice was his roommate's occasional soda or food. One day, he was out at a late club meeting, and I went over to talk to his roommate about something I don't remember. While we were talking, his roommate opened the fridge to get a soda or something, but all I remember is seeing apple juice and thinking, hey, I should put his apple juice in my fridge. So I did. Everyone else on our dorm floor found out I put it in my fridge, and they wanted some too, so next thing we knew, everyone had 1 or 2 bottles of apple juice. But this wasn't enough fun for us. Within an hour, everyone had come up with some sort of quest he would have to complete in order to get his apple juice back. Eventually, someone, who will remain nameless, but is by far my favorite human I've ever met, suggested we theme the thing around The Legend of Zelda, because Fred loved the Zelda series, which we did. We planned out the majority of the main quest line from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, then all went to our rooms and waited. Fred came back from his meeting totally exhausted, and his roommate said, wow, you look tired. I bet some apple juice will help you feel better. I have never heard someone scream so loud for apple juice. His roommate then handed him 1 bottle saying, it's dangerous to go alone. Take this while playing the intro theme song to the game, and sent him on his way to the first quest in my room. He had to collect 3 spiritual stones, a beginning of the game for those not familiar, and he seemed done with the whole thing. It was obvious he thought I had all of his apple juice, which made this all the more fun to watch. When he finally finished, he demanded his apple juice, and he was so confused, as when I opened my fridge for him to only see 2 little bottles sitting in it. I then handed him the Master Nerf gun, and was met with a blank stare. After what felt like an eternity, it clicked in his head that this was just the beginning. He took it and thrust it above his head towards the sky, immediately going into character. The rest of the night was him running around our floor completing quests to get his apple juice back, but he was no longer in it for the apple juice. He was doing it for fun. He got more into it as time went, as did everyone else involved. The person playing the part of the final boss even wrote an entire monologue complete with a strobe light. Well, it was his roommate flicking the light switch rapidly, but it still worked. By the end of the night, Fred had completely forgotten he was doing it for the apple juice. What started out as a small prank turned into an all-night event that turned everyone into close friends. I still talk to these people 9 years later. To give even a happier ending, 2 of the people that were involved in giving quests recently got married, and all of the main participants of that night were there. That's the best prank I've ever pulled, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment. Subscribe for more videos. Like if you enjoyed.